Okay, everybody, welcome back. Hope everybody managed to get a cup of tea and a break. We are now going to have Graham Shirville, who's no stranger to any Colloquium, talking about operating QO-100 from the Southern Hemisphere. Over to you, Graham.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, for a bit of light relief, non-technical descriptions, nothing too difficult for mid-afternoon. Earlier this year, I was very lucky to be able to go on a ship. Right, yes, good. What am I not doing? Which button? On a ship from South America to South Africa, and we were therefore we were just at the edge of. Thank you. Does it go if I use that, or yeah. That will work now? Okay, sorry. Okay, so there you can see from Porto Williams, the bottom end of Chile, through the Falkland Islands, South Georgia, which is one of the places, Tristan da Cunha, and then to Cape Town. Now, yeah, that's an interesting one. If I push that one, oh yeah, look at that, that's brilliant. That shows where the coverage of QO-100 comes. That's the limit. You'll see at elevation 0.3. So that's the Falkland Islands. That's South Georgia, and we went up there and across there. So at about that point, we were going to get into range. So that was quite interesting. There's me on the balcony of the ship, and you can see on a laptop there, I was getting signals. You can also, those who are technical will notice it's only the receiver is connected at that point, but that was a proof of concept test. Now we have the thick coax connected to the back end of the patch, and that was actually on a Sunday morning. On Sunday morning, AMSAT-UK have nets on Oscar 100 as well as on 80 meters, and they let me in. So you can get some idea of the signals. Not enormously strong, but strong enough. And that's on 780, so that's where our net operates on a Sunday morning. So, well into the coverage, well about 7 degrees of elevation, South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands. There are no natural inhabitants. They're biosecurity mad, because they want to preserve it as it was before everybody came and used it for fishing and brought down reindeer from Norway and things. So they've got rid of all that. So it's very, very natural. So we were washed, stripped, sprayed, picked, everything to make sure we didn't import any animals, or any fleas or flies or seeds or anything like that. So there are about 12 people there, a bit more in the summer, working for the British Antarctic Survey, and probably some military people that we didn't get to see. So this was my first location that I wanted to operate. I'd been there before, but we did a trip 10 or 12 years ago when we were on the ship for 3 weeks and we got ashore for 3 hours. So I wanted to do a bit better than that, and of course in those days Oscar 100 didn't exist. So the way to get ashore, of course, is on a Zodiac, a big bouncy rubber boat with a large outboard on the back and a big guy steering the outboard and telling you when to jump ashore. All quite exciting. We did on this trip. We were very lucky. We did actually 6 landings. Actually, only one of which did I manage to operate, which was better than none at all. Now, the weather, this will test it. No, that didn't work. Anyway, the weather when we were there varied from really quite cold and grotty to some of the most amazing clear, bright sunshine and lots of, oh look, they're penguins, and there's also lots of seals. And lots of shots of penguins and seals, which you don't really want to see. But, oh, and no, they're walruses, I think, and more. But when you try and land your Zodiac and get ashore, you know, you're told not to get within 10 feet or 3 meters or whatever it is, but nobody's told them. So, usual story. Okay, the main place in Grytviken is, the main place in South Georgia is a place called Grytviken, which is here at the head of the bay, and looking at where Oscar 100 is, QO-100, it's that way, and it's going to go over the hills there. I wanted to get up on this point because previously we've been allowed to get up to here where there's a reservoir, but they didn't let us do that this time. So I'd lugged all the equipment, which you can see on the windowsill over there, in a bag like that. Very useful, waterproof. And that was a fail. So the following day, another shot of, not sure who that was. The following day, we went and saw more seals and penguins. Following day, we were in Stromness Bay, which is further to the east. Had been another whale fishery as well. And the problem is that they were landing us here, which is Stromness, the base, the original base, and we had that high land to get over. So I needed to get down to somewhere here to be able to look out straight over the bay. So we had to negotiate getting permission. And there you can see the sort of situation on the beach. I hadn't, lesson learned, all I'd got was the base of that dish. I hadn't got a metal plate, which I should have done, so should have brought. So we had to jack it up with stones and rocks so that the peaking of the beam, or the peaking of the dish was a bit variable. You can see that it's pointing over the hills and actually over the ship. So that was all a bit marginal. But there is a picture of me on the beach. The bit sticking out, looks like it's sticking out from the dish, is not actually, it's a walking stick which got into the frame. And here one of the friendly baby seals that wanted to see whether I was edible or not. It was a bit of a nightmare. David, I think, was listening to my efforts trying to get going. I got into a bit of a state of disarray. And I think I was mucking around for about an hour until I eventually got it sorted. Most of the problem was down to having some Bluetooth headset that was plugged into the. Yeah, lesson learnt. Right, thank you. Thought I wasn't the first. So there's another picture of me and my bald head, bald patch. But that gives you the sort of idea of where we were. It looks really nice and sunny, which it was. It wasn't terribly warm. Now. This is going to, yeah, we were allowed to sit down then.
0 Golf Alpha Alpha. Victor Papa 0 Golf Alpha Alpha. Victor Papa 0 Golf
Watch
Alpha
the left
Alpha.
hand. Oh, this one. Yes, it is. I couldn't remember the QRA locator.
Yeah, G8DVR, G8DVR here, VP0GAA. Hotel Delta 15 Papa Uniform. Hotel Delta 15 Papa Uniform. You're 57. 57. Over.
No, I didn't try to tell them to be quiet. Actually, there's a recording coming up. I'm not sure whether you can hear it, but I left the track because the amplifier in there is so good. It doesn't take any current until I talk. I'd actually left it on the whole system on transmit, so I was operating full duplex. And in between my talking, there was a recording again. I think that David made. Yeah, I thought, what in this recording? What on earth are these weird noises? And you can hear the water, the sea lapping, the sea lapping, and B, you can hear these funny seals noises.
Here on South Georgia.
Anyway, enough of the loud noise. Stromness Harbour, that's where we were sitting here, and the actual main old harbour was up there. And you can see these mountains over there, or hills they probably called them. Half of the, it was quite a small ship, only 200 people, 180 people, but about half the people decided to get off at the previous bay, and they were obviously escorted, and they had to walk over the top of that mountain, replicating a bit of what Shackleton had done, not quite, but very similar. So they came down a bit later on. So that must have been taken after I'd made a few contacts, because I don't think my wife Alison was smiling quite as much as that while I was tearing my hair out. Seems unlikely. Another shot of the thing. Yeah, that's a photograph taken by the people who walked over the top, and that's Stromness right down there, and we were on a beach just there. Lots of penguins. Following day, weather wasn't so good. It was quite rough going in, and I'd got the lithium-ion battery, which I was sort of trying to be very careful, and I took it out, and just as a wave came over, and this thing started to smell, and not the smell of penguins or anything, but a smell of burning Paxilin or PCB, and this is the end, and it was. So that I never managed to have a QSO or get it working that day. So that was the total of my VP0GAA. There's a story behind the call sign, because most of us will remember that VP8 is the Falkland Islands, and used to be the Falkland Islands and South Georgia. A couple of years ago, for reasons that I don't know, the South Georgian government decided, or the Falkland Islands government, sorry, decided that the law wasn't quite right, so they had to have a new Telecoms Act out there, and the Telecoms Act had to be different for South Georgia, so they had to have a new prefix. So they said they'd issue VP0 as a prefix, and the number of people that step ashore at South Georgia is quite small. So a VP0 call sign had never been issued until mine. So when I actually operated for half an hour, I got back on the ship, and there were a whole load of WhatsApp or whatever messages. Who was this pirate? Why didn't he know he was using VP0? It should be VP8. So I had to resort to sort of posting a photograph of the. I think some of them actually contacted the government, which was quite funny. So it's my only claim to fame, VP0. The first and so far only. Yeah, that was the battery pack. I wouldn't recommend it. It's one where you push that blue button and you can change the output voltage from, I don't know, 5, 9, 12 and 24. But somehow pushing that button it was very, very flaky. The one I've got now, which is not quite as small, is just a 12 volt output. So keep it simple, stupid. Yeah, burn easy. That's true. Yeah, a good hand warmer was one suggestion, or burn easy. That's a touristic shot when we were leaving the last day, leaving South Georgia, heading. Oh, that's my license. Yeah, to prove to you as well that I really was licensed as VP0GAA. 10 quid they charged me for 5 years. No. Yeah, we discussed in the bar last night, did the SEAL have a license was the question. We discussed in the bar last night, are animals legally allowed to transmit via? Oh, the operator's permission, yeah. Under supervision, of course. I should have guessed that. I don't think we had that answer last night. Anyway, so the real experts will notice that the dish angle has now changed. It's pointing further up. As we're getting further into the coverage area. So we're getting somewhere towards Tristan da Cunha. Now Tristan da Cunha is isolated. It's the most isolated location that people live, where there is a community. It's 250 approximately souls. There are 7 family names. They go back to the 16th, 17th century. No, they don't all look the same. There's a whole mixture of origins of French, Germans, Italians, English and Scottish, and probably a few more. So it's very isolated. No airport, of course. Didn't have internet until fairly recently. It's got, I think, now one dish. At one point they had a dish that was operating via some satellite which provided internet during the day for the government. The officers, and then they plugged it and unplugged it to go to so that the residents could use it at night. And it was, I think, 1 megabit downlink for 200 souls, so it wasn't very good. But they're very welcoming. Again, it's a fairly rare DX location. and there's one or two people at this convention who've tried many times to get there and failed. So again, we were only going to be there for a day or 2 days. Oh, that's the bag that I just waved at you. So previously, when I'd been there, wasn't able to get ashore because it was too rough. So it's all iffy. You know, it's not certain that it's all going to work. So that's a picture, because I didn't know I'd be able to demonstrate the kit. That's the transmitter. In it is a Pluto with a modified TCXO, a driver amplifier for a SG Labs PA, which produces about 20 watts. There's a 12 to 24 volt converter in there, and a bias T for the LMB. And it all seems to work quite well. The heatsink's a bit of an overkill, I think. It never seems to get much above ambient. And, ooh, that's a view inside. Yeah, there's the Pluto, there's the bias T, there's the mini-kit driver, there's the 12 to 24 volt converter, there's the SG Labs PA, and a whole load of wires, and that got a prize. That received an award from none other than John, G4BAO. He gave me the Bodger of the Week award. So when you see John, because I think he's here, I haven't seen him, please pass on my thanks for that award. I'm looking forward to receiving the token gift that I should get as a result. A quick digression. While I was away, before we went away, I've been complaining at home, my home QTH, about an awful lot of noise on 2 meters. Very high noise level. I could hardly hear FunCube. It was that bad. Well, of course, I did some DFing, excuse me, wandered around, and there was a bungalow, not quite next door, but just across the road and down one sort of thing. Almost in the woods, because we live sort of a old wooded area. And the noise was emanating from there. Place was empty, it was rented, the owner was in Ireland, hard to get hold of. I could never find anybody there, but I was convinced it was coming from bedroom 2, because the plans, because there's no secrecy anymore, isn't there? You can get the plans, because 10 years previously it had been on the market, so the plans were still somewhere on Google. So it was in bedroom 2, because you're walking around the outside. Anyway, I complained a lot. Nothing much happened. Nobody came. So eventually I reported it to Ofcom, because it was also affecting the aeronautical band. So, ching, that was really good. So we had an engineer technician came out with all the right kit, and did some examination and said he'd go away and get hold of the owner. And then it all went a bit quiet. But anyway, we went away on holiday. So there we were in the middle of the South Atlantic, and suddenly the phone goes with a WhatsApp message from the local sort of street WhatsApp group announcing that there'd been a drug bust. So the noise was coming from it was a cannabis farm, and we were oblivious to it, I have to say. Couldn't smell a thing, but there you are. It's much quieter now. So here publicly I express my grateful thanks to Ofcom for their support. Meanwhile, Tristan da Cunha. It's a volcanic island. It's in the centre of the Atlantic, you know, the whatever it is, not Platonic ranges, what's the plates, thank you, yeah. Moving, and this had a volcano. Last time it erupted was in the 60s when they all evacuated. Edinburgh of the 7 Seas is the only populated area up the top there, nicely located, as you can see, for Oscar 100, which is off in that direction somewhere. That's what it looks like from when you arrive. It looks like a volcano in the ocean. That's the that's Edinburgh of the 7 Seas, the town, city, not sure quite what they call it, but say 250 people, an administrator, basic agriculture. They do a bit of fishing, and they grow a lot of potatoes. A better picture of it. So, would we get ashore? Well, the first day we anchored off, no, it was too rough. A few people did get ashore, but were called back in about 20 minutes and we didn't manage it. Following day, it looked equally rough, but there was some determination, so we did get ashore. That's the harbour. You can't really get much scale there other than, obviously, that's a person. And there's a Zodiac, one of these little black rubber boats. Actually, they hadn't had any ships there for, well, we were the first tourist ship to arrive. No, we were the second, because there was one right about half an hour before us. But they hadn't had any tourist ships for 3 years, obviously partly because of COVID. And they hadn't seen any ships for at least 3 months. And then, a bit like London buses, 3 turned up on the same day. So it was a bit congested. That's the famous photograph, Welcome to the Remotest Island. And that's the dog that followed us around. That's the High Street, by the way. Now, okay, amateur radio connections. 2 dishes not connected to anything. They were pointing I don't know, west, I think. Can't quite think what they were doing. Some local guys were tasked, modern technical term, tasked to support me. That's actually the admin building, and the bit underneath where I'm sticking my head out was a internet cafe. When people didn't have internet at home, they had to go to the internet cafe, so it had got power. Excuse me. And I suddenly noticed this aluminium boarding at the top and thought, oh, that'll be ideal for the dish, which you can see in my hand. I'll just stick the sucker on that, and that worked. And they cleared it out. Apparently it was in a bit of a mess, this room. But anyway, some more touristic shots. The church, I think that was the C of E church. There was a Catholic one there as well. Yeah, that's me still trying to put it all together in a rush because we had about 2 hours ashore. I've got the dish up under the flag, which is rather good. And that's me sitting there. You see how tidy they've made it. It was really good, with a smile on my face. And that was the PA sitting on the transmitter sitting on the floor. More signals and a view out the door. Yeah, that's the transmitter box sitting there, but I did have mains power, so I was all right. Luckily, I found I got a 12-volt output, 5-amp power supply in my bag. I can't quite think why I had it. Oh no, I know, for charging the battery. That's right. But I could use it directly without the battery. So, here we go. There's Brian. There's Brian. Sorry, Brian operating a microphone, thank you. Operating G4 BIP. It says G. Oh, yes, it does. Okay. Yeah. Sorry about this. And I think we may have a recording of this as well.
Golf Bravo 3 Radio Sierra, B3RS at Bletchley Park. TV Torres, you're 5-9. You're 5-9. Right, sorry, you're 5-5. Over. You're 5 at 9:59, India Oscar 91, India Oscar 91, Papa X-ray, and very, very good to hear you. And regards from all here. Zulu Delta 9, Victor, VZV, this is Jack off Bravo 3, Romeo Sierra, over. GB3RS, ZD9VZV, very confusing call sign. Nice to hear your voice, but I recognise it over the system. It's a bright sunny day, about 20 centigrade, and I'm sitting in the old the internet cafe, proper dish, just sitting on the gable end.
Okay, I think we've had enough of that QSO, but it was good. So thank you for the call, Brian. There was a big pile up. It's a great advantage of operating this sort of system. You can just go 5 up, 10 up, and operate full duplex. It made, I'm not a DX operator, but it made it very easy. That was us just before we left. All the lights are on. Oh yeah, another lesson learnt. Try and sort out your logbook. Yeah, we did it, and I have to thank Nina, DL2, and our GRC. I knew I'd get a call sign wrong. Nina, I apologise to you, who helped with David, helped me get it all sorted out on Logbook of the World. Now, this is a test question, back to school. Where's the star? These ships have big dishes for geostationary satellites. For internet access, it's a lousy service. It's very slow, very expensive. So they're all going over to Starlink. Some of you know that I have Starlink at home, so I'm a bit besotted. But okay, you have got to spot where the Starlink dish is on that satellite, on that ship. Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's that little thing there. It wasn't in use yet. They were waiting to get to Cape Town to set it up, which really annoyed me because I missed out. Anyway, so that's a digression. So lessons learnt: do not have a lithium-ion power pack with lots of electronics. Get a basic one that's got the right number of cells for 12 volts, and you know where you are. Don't use a USB Bluetooth headset with a lappy, and yeah, if it doesn't work, switch it all off and start again. I do have some method of auto-logging contacts with a time code, because that makes life easier when you get home. And remember, it has to be fun, which it was most of the time. So thanks to, final wrap-up, thanks to the Falkland Islands government for the VP0GAA license, which was slightly tortuous. The opposite end of the scale was Andy Repetto, ZD9VZV. He's head of the Tristan da Cunha Communications Department. He gave me authority to use my existing ZD9VZV license again. I asked him, can I use it? He said, yes, carry on. That was it. So that's the way I like to deal with authority. He's a very nice guy. It would still be nice if he found the time to actually activate his own call sign a bit. Obviously to Qatari Amateur Radio Society for making QO-100 a reality. I mean, that bit of kit over there on that windowsill, in range of QO-100, and you can talk to anybody. Simon for the fabulous SDR console software. Again, I don't know. I've not thought, but if you didn't have that, I'm not sure how complicated it would be, but that just makes it easy driving the Pluto. The crew of the ship called Silver Cloud for putting us ashore in the Zodiacs, and Nina DL2 GLC, and David for their help on sorting out the QSLs for Logbook of the World. So that in 30 odd minutes was my experience earlier this year in the Southern Ocean. Thank you for listening.
Okay. Thank you, Graham. Very quickly, does anybody have any questions? Because we've got about 2 minutes until the next speaker joins.
When you at the beginning you showed a slide of the fact that the Falklands weren't in the footprint, but the other one was. When you went across into the footprint, was it a sudden switch on, or was it sort of fairly gradual?
I can't remember. It was in the middle of the night. I think I was asleep.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I should have said it to the microphone. Yeah, Jim's question is very valid.
Got it. Thank you.
Did I check? Oh, good. Did I check?
Just let me know whenever I should be sharing my screen and so on.
Did I check what it was like at sort of -2 degrees or whatever? And the answer is no, I didn't, because it was the middle of the night. So I didn't want to disturb the XYL. That's my excuse. Yes, sir.
Did you transmit from the Silver Cloud?
I can't possibly answer that question.
Enough said.
Yeah, I mean, transmitting from cruise ships these days seems to be getting more difficult. It's an American ship. To be honest, I didn't bother to ask. It would have only caused complications. Yeah. Yes, from the floor. On 2. Well, on 10 gigs, fine. Sorry, what was the noise level like? On receiving on 10 gigs was fine. Transmitting on 2.4 didn't. No, I can't answer that. Right, Ian.